Well, hi everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Juliette and I will be your host. Please note that we cannot hear you as you are on mute. And if you have any questions during the presentation, please use the chat window. This is at the right-hand side of your screen. This webinar will last about 30 minutes. And once it is completed, we will address any question during an open Q&A session. Okay, let's begin with an introduction of today's speakers. Oliver, would you like to start?
Yeah, thank you very much, Juliette. Hi, everybody, and thank you for attending today. So my name is Oliver Renaud, and I'm a Microsoft specialist and pre-sales manager here at GSX.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jean-François Piot. I'm Vice President for Product Management at GSX.
So thank you very much. So today we'll present to you how to report on Office 365 data. So here's a quick sum up of the agenda. So basically we'll start with what's really managing Office 365, and we'll do a very brief sum up of your responsibilities and see how they have changed from the on-premise. But it's really more to kind of sum up what areas we want to be looking at today. And therefore we'll define what you need to succeed. So what is really the information? What does the information require in order to be usable for you? And then we'll go over not a full demo of the tool, but really highlights the key information and reports that you can get out of GSX 365 usage in terms of cost management, security, and finally incident management, which will highlight a good portion of the tool. And at the end, we'll do a quick recap of the benefits you've seen today and highlight what's available in the GSX suite of products for Office 365. So let's start now with managing Office 365. I'll let Jean-François start.
Okay, thank you, Olivier. So let's start with this small introduction, and let's see how three main areas of responsibilities have been impacted by the migration to Office 365. So after multiple meetings with our customer that moved from either Exchange or Domino to Office 365, we've come to the conclusion that even if the service is now delivered by Microsoft itself, most of the administrator's responsibilities stay the same. The service is now delivered by the cloud, but the responsibility clearly are mostly staying from on-premise. So you still have to do cost management, you still have to do security management, you still have to do incident resolution, but the information that was before only on-prem and easily available is now spread between cloud services, hybrid infrastructure, on-prem sometime infrastructure. So now the difference is that to access the information is a bit more complicated than before. Let's take the cost management. Before, a big part of the cost came directly from the infrastructure. And now this part is obviously decreasing. Nowadays, one of the big focus is the license management. In fact, now the model is a per user, per month cost. So you have to follow that very precisely in order to keep an eye on what you really spend on Microsoft services. On top of that, you now often have to take in account new on-premise infrastructure like directory synchronization, ID Connect, IDFS, etc. If we take security as a second example, we can see that in the same way, before cloud migration, software and appliances were clearly mostly installed and managed on-premises. And now a lot of them are in the cloud or directly related to Office 365. So the management of the security and the access to critical information is again spread between remaining on-premise and cloud solutions. However, security and compliance information from Office 365 are critical to ensure the security of the cloud usage. So the question is now who has access to what, how, for what purpose, and that's something very important to check. The problem of information management is also, and finally, even more complex when it comes to incident management. To solve incidents, multiple teams generally have to work together. So when the information was on-premise, the help desk, the system team, the messaging team were able most of the time to work together. And now the service is delivered by Microsoft, and every team seriously lack of information. When you want to check about what's going on in terms of performance, in terms of end user impact, in terms of any kind of issue, it's very difficult to have clear information from the Office 365 portal. And that increase the mean time to repair, for example, that you have to optimize. So to sum up these 3 points, we all know that information is power, and we also know that Office 365 keeps that power as much as it can for itself. So at GSX, we have faced this problem a lot of time, especially with our customer, and that's why we really have developed this Office 365 reporting tool in order to give you back the access and the control of all this critical information that you need to achieve this goal of cost management, security management, incident management. So the purpose of the webinar is to explain you how GSX 365 usage fills the gap between what the Office portal gives you and what you need to achieve your goal. So here I will explain a little bit how we will do this comparison. To judge and compare both portals, we will follow these basic checks. The first one is the check about existence of information. We will check if the information is available and granular enough to be useful for you. Then we will check if the retention policy fits your requirements. Secondly, we will focus on how to access to this information. Let's say you have the information on the portal, good, but if nobody can really access it, it becomes useless. So we will check how, when, and who can access the information that you need, again, in order to achieve your goal, but also to share the information and to achieve the goal of your company. This is a very important point, especially when you have to work with multiple teams, for example, to build a cost analysis, a security scorecard, or when you have to troubleshoot user problem. And finally, we will see how you can use the information. Basically, can you receive and transform it to make it useful for you and for your team? How can you present it? How can you share it? How can you integrate it in other tools and schedule periodical reports, for example? So let's see now, topic by topic, how you can or can't use the Office 365 portal to meet your basic requirements in terms of cost management, security management, and incident management. So yeah, if you can go next one. So cost management, here we try to start with what people often like the most, and most of the time it's cost management. So in order to help you doing this cost management, Microsoft should provide you with the information that would first help you managing your license. For example, what do you have in terms of license, what is used, by who. Then it should help you identifying some usage pattern of your Office 365 applications in order to define how these licenses are used. It should also help you managing the sizing of your remaining on-premise architecture, like your anti-spam or ID Connect or these kind of things. It should also help you predicting future costs or optimizing current costs in terms of licensing, again, architecture, or maybe your network. And finally, for some of you, it should help you when you have to cross-charge the consumption of services across your organization. So we've seen what Microsoft should provide you with. Olivia, can you explain us if this portal meets or doesn't meet this kind of requirements?
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. So basically, I won't show you the portal. Most of you guys are familiar with it, I assume, but I'll briefly explain according to the different criteria that we have mentioned earlier. So basically, in Office 365 portal, you have very limited information. So you do have a quick sum up of your licenses because you need to be able to buy some more, obviously. So you can check what's available, assigned and expired. But that's really about it. You can't really drill down into that information. Very hard to check on a per user base, and they don't retain that information if you need to check the license usage over time. And then you need to check the activity, what's actually being used of these licenses that you have assigned to the end users. So you can check in the portal the active mailboxes, but you need to wait for the data. It's kind of hard to navigate. And all of this information is not centralized. A little bit is under the billing section, and the rest of it is under the report section. So it is limitedly available, not granular, and there's no retention of that data. And throughout the portal, I won't go over that again in the next slides, but the access is always the same. It's only to the Office 365 admins that are able to access the portal. It's for 90% of the data, it's only on demand. You have to go to the portal. There's no way to receive that information on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. And there's very close to no transformation because there's only about a couple of reports that you can extract to CSV, and there's nothing that can be sent out as PDF or anything like that. So let's check now. Let's go over GSX 365 usage and see how you can be empowered to do that cost management in an effective way. So let me go to GSX 365 usage. So here's the main dashboard. I will focus in each of these categories onto some key reports, but that will just be an overview of what you can do. I won't go through all of the different items and reports in that. So let's first check about the licensing. So you can see here there's a complete license report category. So of course you can check the same kind of information and have an overview of what's going on. But what you do have on top of that, so it is displayed much better though, and you can schedule that as well. So first about the transformation, there is some key advantages here. And then about the retention, GSX 365 usage is able to retain the data for up to a year. So if we check here license usage over time, that's something that is not possible to get out of the Office 365 portal. So by default, I'm able to look at the last 30 days, see the evolution, but this is fully customizable. So if I want to check the evolution since September 1st, just easy as that, I can change the period. And here, I'm able to look at that evolution, see what is going to be in the future, predict what I will need, or see how it has been used. I can easily see the gap in between what I actually have purchased and what I'm actually using in here. And again, all the reports that are available within GSX 365 usage, you can easily export them or schedule them into a CSV or a PDF so that you can receive or send to your manager or your team these reports on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. So really easy to have access to that information, and you can see there are multiple other ones. What I'd like now to show you is more on a per user base. So if we check that information, again, that's not something you can get out of the portal. Here, it's very easy. And at a glance, I can see all my different licenses and services, see how my licenses are applied, see who is actually using them. I can easily filter down if I need to check specific user or mailbox to know what kind of licenses is applied to them. So really easy, and you can drill down on a per user base. Then for each of the services, so let's check Skype for Business, for example, you have the ability to check the use of these licenses. So you can check active versus inactive users. So here for Skype for Business, for example, you can check the activity in the past 7, 14, 30 days, or overall. And you can see if it has been used actively or not, and if it has, who has been using that information. So really easy, and you have that kind of reports for all the different categories. What's actually a nice report that I like is under General User Report, you can have inactive users per service. And here, at a glance, you can see what's used and unused in a centralized panel. And again, you can easily drill down if you need to for specific users and schedule that information to be sent out if you need. And so if we check for a specific user, for example, you can have a quick recap, and you're able to drill down even furthermore and have all the licenses that have been applied to that user, and you can check the usage in each of these categories very easily. So really effective way to know what's going on. And about accessing that information, everything that you see in that portal, you can assign the permissions to the end users to be either a user or an admin of this different reports. So it's really easy to customize and provide access to who should have access to that information without risking them to make changes in the Office 365 portal and check the configuration or things like that. And you can customize that as well. So if you need to create a dashboard, for example, I like maybe some kind of license and activity dashboard to show me a little bit what's going on, you could easily create such dashboard, select an active mailbox, a little bit of mail traffic or whatever is relevant for you, and easily customize that dashboard, change how it looks, and there you go. For different teams, it's really easy to customize that dashboard and delete it if you don't need it anymore. So really fully customizable, control who has access to the data. You have access to all the data, and it's really easy to transform that data in order to make some effective cost management. So just to recap on that category, we've seen detailed usage of the licenses, overall or per service and over time, which really allow you to understand and predict what the cost will be and effectively manage your different licenses. You can check the usage per application for each of the users or for the application overall. And because we keep retention of that data for up to a year, you're able to identify any kind of pattern, understand what you need to predict these costs. And all of that information, you control who has access and how they can access that information.
Thank you, Olivier. So very good information. Let's speak now about security information. As we said right before, collecting critical information for security was way easier when you had on-premise security equipment and infrastructure. Now that a big part of it is in the cloud, collecting this information and sharing them among several teams can be a challenge. User and admin permission, compliance information, data access reports, basically who access what, and mobility, security, device information like policies, wide password enforcement are all critical to determine the level of security of your organization. Same thing, Olivier, can we check what's available on the Office 365 portal and what we can provide with GSX Office 365 usage?
Sure. Thanks, Jeff, for that introduction. So again, I won't go through the same kind of category for all the access and information because it's the same. But let's check about what's available. Well, actually, not a lot of information. The only thing that you can really find that could help for security would be the litigation holds on the mailboxes. And again, for some of you, for the ones of you that have tried to access that report, it takes quite some time depending on the information you're looking for, and it's really not user-friendly. So I would say availability close to zero, and not even to mention guarantee and retention. And then for the access and transformation is the same as what I've explained earlier for the cost management. So let's check what you can have access to with GSX 365 usage. So first, again, because that's a very important area, we have an entire category dedicated to security. In this category, you'll be able to find multiple reports. I will highlight the one I feel are important today. So let's check, for example, security and user mailbox security. Here, at a glance, you can see all the non-standard permissions. That means any user that has access to another mailbox or any kind of delegate access that has been made. So you can check everything. Again, that's something that you can schedule and check on a regular basis, or you can just go in there and access a particular mailbox. So let's check who has access to the support mailbox, for example, that's in Office 365. And here you can see at a glance who has access, what kind of access, what's the scope, and the type of mailbox that has been delegated the access to. So really easy to check that information. Then if we keep scrolling down, we can see here user by retention policy. So if you want to ensure and enforce the policies that are applied to the different users, you can really check at a glance here what's the policy and have a nice graph to summarize that information. But again, if you need to filter down or to search for a specific user, this is something that's really easy to do. So again, that's something that the portal is not going to provide you with at all. So really, really interesting data to look at here. Mailboxes on hold is another one that's great. So that's the litigation hold is something that you can have access to in the portal, but it has nothing to compare to what you can see here. So here, really easy to see, again, the repetition. You can check for specific mailboxes. So if I need to check for a specific user, like Jeff, it's really easy to do that. And there's nothing going on in your mailbox, Jeff, so you're good to go. So, and if we keep going, another interesting one would be the user passwords. You can check strong password are required, the repetition in your company, the password that never expires. So again, it always looks really nice, really easy to access the information that you can extract, filter down, or schedule to be received to whoever should be receiving that information. Last one that I find really important is the administrative roles. As Jeff explained, you don't want anybody to mess around with the configuration and settings in your Office 365 tenant. This is very important settings, and only few people should be able to access that. So you can keep control over who has access to make these changes and really look at who is part of which group. So here you have a detailed list of all the different users or part of roles or groups that have important permissions and are able to make a lot of changes within the Office 365 tenants. And again, you can search, filter down, so really easy. Another thing I'd like to mention is we haven't gone yet. There's a complete SharePoint piece that will show you everything around SharePoint and OneDrive. So you can see there's a lot of categories. Just to mention very quickly to you, the Explorer is a great feature. I know everybody loves that one. You can easily see all the different sites that you have in your SharePoint Online tenant, filter down up to the lists and document library. So really nice to understand. But so let's get back to the topic here, permissions and security. So you can check again all the site collection admins, really understand who has access to what sites and is able to make these changes, or you can check all the permissions overall. You can see I have a quick recap on top about what I should be checking because I have 3 unique permissions, so maybe something I don't want to keep. And then you have a global recap for each of the sites. You can see the different permission, different groups, and if you need to drill down, you can click on any of these groups and see who has access to these different SharePoint sites. And then again, if you need to drill down even further, you can click on the user and have a global recap about what that user is able to do and all that information that I showed before. So then in terms of security, another thing that might be interesting for you is everything about the mobile devices. This is something that obviously is getting huge now. So you have a lot of information about the mobile devices, but concerning security, I would like to focus probably on the policy. So you can check easily at a glance the different policies that have been applied to the different mobile devices that are out there. And again, you can easily search for a specific one. So again, you see we really cover all the different areas that would be important for you to access to keep control and manage your security. So we have detailed permission at user device level, all the retention policies, and you've seen how it's easy to access all the permission and see who has ability to make some big changes that could represent some kind of risk in your Office 365 tenants. So it's important because you need to enforce the compliance, check who has access to that data overall, and same for the mobile devices. And again, not to mention the retention and the transformation that you can make for these reports.
Okay, so thank you, Olivier, again. Let's finish with the last topic, the incident management. Well, basically, when you have a user issue, you want to fix it, it's normal, and if possible, you would like to anticipate end-user issue in order to avoid end-user complaint. And the purpose is always the same. You want to reduce help desk call, you want to reduce mean time to repair, and you want to save administration costs. So you've certainly noticed that you're still responsible when there is a user issue, even if Microsoft delivers the service. So to help you avoiding painful end-user complaint and to help you as well decreasing mean time to repair, you need to have information about usage, performance, and problem. You also need to easily share this information with several teams in order to determine the root cause of the incident, to determine as well some incident pattern, or to finally decrease the overall administrative cost. So same thing, Oliver, can you explain what we get in the Office 365 portal for that, and how GSX solution can help on this particular topic?
Well, definitely. Thank you, Jeff. So this time in Office 365, you do have access to that information. So most of you, I guess, are familiar with their service health dashboard. So you're able to check the incidents that Microsoft has reported, any kind of planned maintenance that will occur that might impact your services in Office 365. So the information is available. However, it's not very granular, and again, there's no retention about that data. The other thing is that I said it's available, but a lot of that information that you'd like to know is also about what are the different impact that it can have on your end users. And for that, you need to be able to understand what are your end users using to access the cloud services, what kind of connection protocols they are using, because if there are some impacts on the rich clients, maybe it's not a big impact in your user groups because you have a lot of users accessing through the mobile devices and so on. So there is some information, but not a huge lot of data that's available out there. And also, it's only the information that's from their data center. So we'll see how we can help with GSX. So let's check first within the GSX 365 usage. So here, under tenant reports, so first in the dashboard, you're able to have a quick panel that kind of summarizes the current incidents, the upcoming maintenance, and the number of informational messages. If you need to drill down, again, you can access the service status. So lucky you, for once today, there's no incidents that seems to be occurring on Office 365. So it's too bad for me showing you that today, but there's still some information. So usually this is great to see what are the issues and from when they have started, and really summarize good. And if you need to drill down, you can access specific categories. So here, let's check the different messages. And you see the presentation is much easier to understand and digest that what you have in the portal. So if you need to drill down again, you can click on any of these information messages. And this is, again, some information that you can easily export or schedule to be sent out to your team or yourself every day or week if you need to check the incidents and what happened. So again, similar information for that one, but I think much easier to visualize, understand, and navigate through. And again, you can schedule that and control who has access to that information. The other thing, and I will highlight this in Exchange, is to understand what your end users are using to connect. So if we check, for example, connection by client type, you can easily see the repetition of your end user connections by type of clients. So whether they're using the web access, active sync devices, the web services, and really understand when there's an issue, what's the impact. And moreover, if you need to understand some kind of patterns, whether for the online or even, as Jeff mentioned, for the on-premise infrastructure that you might have, like ADFS authentication, or maybe you have still some archiving or anti-spam that's on premises, you can really understand the usage patterns by looking at that. And again, it's really important to have that retention to be able to look at these different patterns. Another thing that's interesting, just to show you, there's also a lot of reports for Skype for Business. And there's interesting thing is to look at the peer-to-peer sessions when you can really see on a per-user base what has been the features used. If the user made just an IM session, if they made a video, audio session, if they've been sharing some files or application. So again, really beneficial to understand the different types of access and what happened in the past. But then that's only what happened in the data center. So if you need to do some incident management, you need to do root cause analysis, if you need to troubleshoot the performance and know in your different locations what has happened, then you need something that will be checking from each of your sites. And for that, it will be a separate product. The ones of you that know GSX might be familiar with it. So we have GSX Monitor that you can deploy what we call robot users that will allow you to check the service that is delivered for your different locations. And you can see we have multiple end user scenarios that you can run, and you can be aware of what's the service. And so that now, with that key information in your different locations, you're able to know what's the performance delivered to the different sites. And when there's an issue in Office 365, you can definitely know if your tenant is impacted, because the service health dashboard is not providing you with what's the impact for your tenant. They will just say globally what happens to the services. So definitely something great to understand the issues, detect, and be proactive about any of these performance degradation, and also to keep track of the incidents that have happened in the past. So as we've seen, all the service incidents in a more advanced dashboard, detailed client connections types. You can do some usage pattern identification that really empower you with identifying what happened in the past and predict and be proactive about what will happen in the future. And again, if you're using GSX Model, you're able to better manage all the performance and understand the incidents that have happened in the past.
Well, thank you again, Olivier. I think we had a good overview on what's available in Office 365 Portal, how GSX 365 usage can help you in your cost, security, and incident management, and how as well GSX solution can help you in more incident management and root cause analysis thanks to GSX Monitor. Basically, the Microsoft Portal provides standard information that is enough for small businesses and that is never focused on cost optimization. And I guess we can say that it's pretty normal. At first, that portal was made for customers that were small companies. And Microsoft won't give you any way to optimize the money you spend with them. So it's really to fill this gap that we have developed our GSX 365 usage portal. GSX ensures that you have enough information to manage cost, security, and incident the best you can. GSX ensures that you can share the information to the appropriate team in a safe and secure manner. Thanks to GSX tools, your security team, your system team, the help desk team, and the management team can access, can see the information they need without putting the company at risk. And finally, GSX ensures that you can use the information, schedule report, and automatically receive the appropriate information in the appropriate form. So that's really over these three different main topics. That's really something that is really important and that we provide. And to finish this webinar, and I hope that webinar was really interesting for you. Here's a sum up of the global GSX offering for Office 365. We've just seen the reporting part and how to use it and how to meet your objectives with it. Olivier also briefly mentioned the performance management parts done by our add-on GSX Monitor for Office 365. Again, this tool tests and troubleshoots the service delivered by Office 365 to your end user. We also can mention our professional services that can help you with your migration or with any performance and usage projects you can have with your Office 365 environment. And the last offer I would like to mention is our brand new Office 365 user management product. Olivier, even if we are a bit in advance, but can you tell us some word about that?
Sure. So as you've seen, and as Jeff said, the reporting we've covered, the monitoring, and another key pain point that we've noticed with our different clients is that the management in Office 365 can be something that can become really time-consuming and kind of difficult to manage. So that new product that will be available, and you should check out the webinar on January 21st, allows you to make some large enterprise management at the user level. So if you need to perform group of actions on a lot of different users to make some kind of bold changes in your environment, this is what we want to empower you so that you can make massive change in your environment with just a few clicks. That can be used by different teams when you have new employees, when you need to make changes, when you need to delegate new access. So that could be also a tool that you can provide to the help desk so that they can check the different users, what permissions they have, and checks, and perform these changes as they need it. So really give you a portal where you can centralize all the ones that should be able to make changes. And again, that will be great because you can limit the different permissions. That will be, again, completely role-based access. And all the changes that are made within that portal will be tracked. So if you need to go back in time, check who made that changes and when to make some kind of auditing, this is something that will be available. So really brief explanation, but again, I encourage you to come on our webinar on January 21st, where we'll highlight the different areas of that tool and make a quick demo so that you can better understand what's available and how this can really benefit you.
Okay, thank you, Olivier. So, well, waiting for the next webinar that Olivier, you just mentioned, you can already test our GSX 365 usage tool. It's extremely simple to register. Just go on our webpage and start your 14 days trial today if you want.